Wyldevizion today, coming to you from the kitchen. Now, I know a lot of people put their videos on YouTube, and a lot of people post cooking videos in a really nice, shiny kitchen.
Can anyone stop their mechanical mayhem?
I live in a mobile home, so the Emerald Lagasse kitchen is going to be absent from this video. Today I'm showing a basic recipe that I've changed a little bit to include certain elements of my own, I guess I would say, cooking repartee. I'm making a basic Chilimac, but this Chilimac is going to have a bit of a kick, but it's going to be a slow burn, and it's not going to be blow your head off burn. I know a lot of you out there, you really like to have the chili that nukes the neighbors when they come over for football. But I don't do that kind of chili. I'm a flavor guy. I want an explosion in your mouth that is just delicious. And this chili, which institutes a lot of different types of flavors and styles, is really more about giving you a real meal in a bowl. Everything that I cook, ask my wife, it fills you up. It makes you feel warm and just fulfilled, basically. And so today's Chilimac is going to do just that. It's not going to be your basic Chilimac recipe. It's going to be more based on flavors, less based on burn. So that's today's recipe. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the hamburger browned. I'm actually using turkey. Turkey is a wonderful thing. Now I have an electric stove, and as you can see from my surroundings, I'm not in the most beautiful looking thing. In fact, this kitchen is eventually going to get renovated. But most people aren't cooking in Emerald Lagasse's kitchen with the nice little island in the middle and all of the nice, you know, institutionally cleaned everything. So, I am using just a basic burner electric stove for all of my cooking, which is it's actually going to vary cooking times. I find burning on electricity to be more efficient than burning on gas heat. Gas heat has a tendency to burn uneven. You'll have hot spots in the pan. Whereas the electric coil, it tends to heat all around. So, as I said, this is not a perfectly clean stove. This is actually probably more like what everybody else's stove looks like. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by browning the hamburger. You really can't start anything else in this recipe until your hamburger is ready. In this pot right here is going to go the macaroni, which I will pull out of here. I'm going to use just regular, everyday, packaged macaroni. And it's going to, basically, what I do with the macaroni is I put it in one of these pots with water. I don't measure the water. Some people, they're all about measurements. I don't do measuring. I'm going to pour the water in. I'm going to pour the macaroni in. And I'm going to add a dash of olive oil to keep the macaroni from sticking together. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to make sure that that's nice and browned. And I'm cooking on a high heat, not extreme high heat. I want it just about, you know, where the coil is all red. You see, it's not completely red. I'm not using the highest setting because this is about getting the burger cooked quickly. This recipe, when done correctly, is only going to take you about an hour. You want to give the sauce a little time to simmer. I go with 45 minutes. It's a good time. If you really want to impress people, make it the day before. Use a slow cooker. You won't believe the amount of flavor you get out of a slow cooker. So, for instance, Super Bowl Sunday would be a good time. Use the slow cooker. Now, my burger is almost 100%. My turkey, I should say, my ground turkey is almost 100% browned. And it's actually a little juicier than I was expecting, so I'm probably going to drain this, unless it starts burning off. But just going to get that so that it's all nice and whatnot. Now, sometimes when I'm cooking turkey, I will actually add seasoning, but in this case, all the seasoning is going to be done in the sauce. When the turkey is combined in this pot right here, which you probably can't even see from that camera. But I've got a second pot here on the stove. I'm going to combine all my seasoning, which is over here, and I'm doing it's a homemade sauce. So that looks like it's about done. So we're going to shut that off. Remember, electric burners versus gas. Electric takes a lot longer to cool down. So sometimes you might kill a little bit early, and by the time it's done cooling down, everything's completely cooked. So we have that. Okay, so this is the next step. Now, some of us don't have the luxury of having our tomato sauce pre-bottled from our own garden-grown tomatoes. Especially if you live in the city, this can be a problem. The other problem is that a lot of tomato sauces come with that out-of-the-bottle flavor that kind of tells everybody, I bought this at the store. Now, that may not be a problem, especially if you're doing potluck dinner. Obviously, having a bottled tomato sauce is really not that big of a deal, because at that point it's about quantity, not quality. However, we have some ingredients here that I'm going to show you in camera 2. First of all, we have our sauce. Let me just move that out of the way. This is basically just a crushed tomato. It's got no flavoring whatsoever. It's just crushed tomato. So, we've got that. We've got diced tomatoes with the juice. I'm going to leave the juice in, and you'll see why. This is just to add a little bit of consistency and a little bit of extra flavor that you're not going to get with the crushed tomatoes. The next ingredient is a basic chili mix. This one is pretty light on the spices. It's not real sharp. It's mostly going to add flavor. Now, I'm going to try to bring out the flavor a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of Italian seasoning. This is just a hodgepodge. You can buy these at Walmart for 50 cents, this mixture. It's really not that expensive. And I've got a little bit of burgundy. The burgundy is my magic weapon, or my secret weapon. It's what brings the flavor of good pasta out. And I'm utilizing it in the chili because it's really going to help the chili have its own robust kind of, wow, the flavors are going to jump out at you and it's going to be delicious. And last but not least, this is a staple for anything that I cook that involves tomato sauce. One of the problems you have, especially if you used a canned tomato, whether it's canned tomato from whatever it is, Red Pack, or crushed tomatoes from whatever your favorite supermarket is, the crushed tomatoes are going to have an aluminum flavor depending on how they were packaged. It's just a staple of life. So I recommend a bottle of this, cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper I don't use a lot. I use enough to give the flavoring character. Like I said, I'm not looking to blow somebody's head off. So that's very important. So the cayenne pepper is another ingredient that I'm going to add to this. And then finally, this adds a whole lot of character, and this may surprise some people. And I discovered this not by accident, but out of desperation. I had no extra cans of tomato sauce. I only had 1 can of base tomato, and it didn't seem to be enough for a dish I was making. So, Campbell's soup. Tomato soup and a half a can of water, and you will have a lot of sauce. And in the end, it will be enough sauce to do what you're looking to, that you need to do. So this is very important for this. This is the whole recipe right here. This is going to be your last step. The macaroni and the water is only going to take about 10 to 15 minutes to do. So you just kind of put that aside and you wait for that. The sauce is the thing. You have to remember, when you're doing this sauce, you're worrying about flavor. You want the flavor to be, you want people to eat this and say, wow, I need a cigarette. So, that being said, the first step that we have to do, the very first step, is going to put the burger back in. There. Very simple step. And we're going to take our ingredients, we're going to combine all of our ingredients in the pot with the burger. That's all the sauce, all the flavoring, everything. So just kind of dump them in, one by one. Start with the diced tomatoes. You might actually just run into the problem I just ran into, which is I don't have a big enough pot, which that's okay. If you find that out that you don't have a big enough pot, you just switch. That's not a panic situation. This actually might just be the perfect pot. So I'm not really worried. So you've got your crushed tomatoes. Look like a lot more. You've got your crushed tomatoes and your diced tomatoes. That's for consistency and just, it gives it something a little extra. Next, now I'm going to be honest with you. Chili mix is 75 cents for a package that serves 4 people. When you mix it into something like this, you're going to have to do a lot of stirring, but it's fine. That's okay. At this point, you want to get things started. You're going to add a little bit of the Italian, and then you're going to stir before you add the burgundy. And I'll tell you why in just a second. I'm just going to use what I was using for the meat. No use in dirtying more. Now, if you're watching camera 2, you're noticing that this is a very thick sauce. I haven't added the final step yet, which is going to make the mass it's going to make a massive amount, but I think it'll still fit in this pot. So there you go. Look at that. Look at the diced tomatoes. See how the diced tomatoes is adding that like extra chunky likability? You're not going to get chili like this. This is, by the way, a beanless chili. I'm doing that because my wife does not like beans. And so you can add beans. If you want to add beans, just pick your favorite beans, canned or otherwise, and figure in a bigger pot and then just add them into the recipe. Now, I've got that in there. The next step, we're going to add the burgundy. Pour it right in there. And there you go. Look at that. Get it nice and mixed. Now, burgundy isn't going to this is going to make it taste like a burgundy sauce. Alcohol enhances flavor. It brings flavors that already exist out. It doesn't really create its own flavor. So in this case, it's just bringing out the already existing flavors, and it's going to add a really, really nice touch. Believe me. There we go. Now look at that. Look at the consistency of that. I mean, that's how you want a good Chilimac sauce. You don't want it runny. You don't want it looking like the school cafeteria, because nobody likes to eat at the school cafeteria. Now it's time for the next step. It's getting a little bubbly, so we're going to turn that down. The next step is the Campbell's soup. Look at that. It almost sounds like an Indiana Jones movie or something with like a steam spring. There we go. Alright, so pop open your Campbell's soup. It's going to be thick. This is going to add a lot of flavor. Tomato soup is made differently than tomato sauce or even crushed tomatoes. And it's got a whole different process, and it adds a really, really nice flavor. You only want a half a can of water, like so. And then you're just going to mix it in. Now this is going to get a little thinner, but there's always the standby. You can always add in a can of tomato paste. Tomato paste is 30 cents a can, unless you're going someplace that really doesn't understand where tomato paste comes from and thinks it's exotic and charges 50 cents a can. But it's really not that expensive either way. Now, we haven't lost our consistency here. This is still nice and chunky and delicious. It's almost a meal by itself. In fact, it is a meal by itself. There's no need to add, there's no need to even add the macaroni. This you could eat by itself. I'm just going to kind of mix that up and make sure that it's all nice and mixed up. And you've got your Italian seasoning in there, adding a little zest. This is almost like a pasta dish with chili seasoning in it. So it's going to be a very, very tasty dish. Now what we're going to do after this step is we're going to let it, I don't have my thing, we're going to let it, right there, we're going to let it simmer. And the simmering is going to just kind of let things mix around and really just kind of bring the flavor out a little bit more. You can set a timer. You don't have to, do guesswork. I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to set it. I'm going to say about 40 minutes. I want it to simmer. I want the flavor to come out, but I don't want to wait until it's dark to eat. And it pretty much already is dusk. So when this is ready, when this is about, not ready, but 3/4 away in the cooking time, we're going to fire up the water, do the macaroni, and then all it is a matter of combining the two and serve your dinner. So let's just wait for 45 minutes, and not on the video, of course, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so This sauce was looking a little bit thin as it heated up, so I'm just adding a little bit of tomato paste, and it shouldn't affect this flavor too much. Shut that off. It is going to thicken things up considerably, give it a much thicker consistency, which is what you want. It's going to be a little bit tricky to stir in a pot this small. I probably should have used a bigger pot, but now we've got a much thicker, chunkier kind of sauce happening here. I have to be careful I don't spill any of it on the stove. I've definitely hit critical mass with this. Yeah, there you go. Look how thick and chunky that is. That's the way we want it. This is not a tomato sauce. This is chili. So we want it. We want the consistency nice. So this is the part where we're gonna get the macaroni ready. We're just gonna fire up the. This is my fastest burner on the stove. Can't love that about electric stoves. Always one burner heats faster than the rest of them. I'm going to keep stirring this up. This is ready. This is ready for prime time. It was just a matter of getting a little consistency. Now, cayenne pepper is a hotter pepper than jalapenos, so you really don't want to overdo it. With cayenne pepper, it's good to take this really simple method for adding cayenne pepper. Now, some people like to use measuring cups. I've gotten to the point with cooking that the glass bowls you've seen in the video are really more for show. So this is how you're going to take your cayenne pepper, and this will give you a nice heat, but it's not going to overpower the Chilimac to the point where a lot of people like it, you know, blowing your head off, Satan's blood, that kind of thing. So all you're going to do, as you're watching this, here we go, all you're going to do is just take your cayenne pepper, like this, and you're just going to kind of lightly over the top of the chili mix, about like that. You're going to see it floating on top of the pan. It's going to start to blend in with all the other colors, but when you initially put it down, it'll look like this. And then, that's it. That'll add your warmth. That will add your character. It'll bring out the other flavors, but it won't overkill everything. And that's the real trick here. Good Chilimac, you're going to serve to a bunch of people, should have warmth, but it shouldn't have, my God, I need a toilet. That kind of thing is nice for novelty, but for serving to large groups, especially where you might have people that are sensitive to spicy foods, this is the best method. Alright, so we're going to add the macaroni, which we've drained, into the pot that we just took it out of. And then we're not going to add all of the sauce because that would be dumb. And we're likely to drown it. We're going to add some and see what happens and go from there. So, let's go ahead and tip it over. Boy, does that sound delicious. And just kind of mix it in. Look at that. Huh? There we go. Look at that. Nice, thick. A little bit more wouldn't kill us. You just don't want to drown it. I mean, you want good Chilimac. You want the flavor to be there. You want... Oh, look at that. Huh? Look at that. Look at that. I mean, that's just chock full of good stuff right there. That's how it should be. And there it is. That is the finished product. Bowl of Chilimac. And bon appetit. Thanks for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day full of flavor.